Here we go. Let me get centered. Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Garrett Smith, the nutrition detective. I'm sure some of you are noticing the little change in my facial hair today. You guys will understand this. Had a little wrong setting on the trimmer, and so just decided, hey, I'm gonna roll with it. So anyway, I remember my dad did this once. My dad shaved off his beard once, and he went right back to his beard. So anyway, here we go. What are we doing today? Well, I am Dr. Garrett Smith, as I said, the nutrition detective around these here YouTube parts, and we go over the causes, the root causes of chronic disease today, and we tend to be able to link them to very specific patterns of toxicities, very specific patterns of deficiencies, and very specific patterns of excess bile in the blood, or the recipe or composition of the bile in the blood. And remember that the bile contains the toxins that the liver, if you believe that the liver filters out poisons and toxins, what it does is it puts them into the bile to get rid of them. We are kind of ruining the idea that bile is really good. Like, it's not that it's bad, it has its purposes, but when people are kind of worshiping bile and thinking that you need to make more bile and better bile, that's kind of true, but they're kind of missing the boat. If you are new to this, the live streams to watch, number 53 and or number 71, those are the basics of toxic bile theory, and that's going to go into detail about what we're going to go over today. So I'll give basics as we go, as I do, so that everybody can understand things, and then we'll just cover the new stuff about gout. So I'm not going to go into the basics of gout. Gout is typically, the symptoms are a form of arthritis, often in the big toe. And then one of the things they use to diagnose the presence of it is high uric acid in the blood, or uricemia. And then the crystals that they find in the joints that tend to hurt is they find uric acid crystals. So what do we talk about here a lot? We talk about calcification, which is a form of, crystallization of calcium. And we'll get into uric acid and aldehydes, which we get into a lot. We'll get into bile and all the markers of that. So yeah, so here we go. If you have any questions, we always do a subscriber, a channel subscriber Q&A. The channel subscriber Q&A is going on live. And you can post your questions there. If you really want a question to get answered, then you want to do a super chat, because those are the ones I typically have time to get to. And then if I get to all the super chats, then I go back to the start of the question. So let me get into this, because we have kind of like the depression one last week or 2 weeks ago. This is a big one. We got a lot of research to go on this. And again, it's the same stuff that we go over all the time. Let me put my chat up. Now, for you moderators out there, for you lovely moderators who help me, there's been a little tiff lately between me and the Ray Pete community. They're really, really upset at me because apparently one of their forum admins has now decided that vitamin A is a poison. And they kicked one of the biggest Peters off of the forum. And maybe some people think I'm responsible for that, even though I don't go to that forum and I don't really care. I did my Pete experiment. It messed me up, just like many of you here tried a Pete experiment, and you figured out that it is bad. It doesn't work. Yes, Zendog Breath says, you Pete corrupter. I don't know. I just posted like a study on Twitter a little bit ago about how sugar-sweetened beverages, Peters are big fans of sugar. Sugar-sweetened beverages in men aged 20 to 39 lowered testosterone. I mean, if the patterns are there, they love their coffee, they love their sugar. I could show research showing that both of them generally lower testosterone and mess things up. So, low testosterone and high estrogen in men tends to make men very emotional and very sensitive and very kind of more like women. And you tend to notice it more in men because men aren't supposed to act that way. That's why it seems so off-putting. We'll put it that way. So, oh yeah, Ray Pete, Dr. Mercola has gone Ray Pete. I just saw today that Ray Pete, that Dr. Mercola and his girlfriend Erin Elizabeth are now selling ivermectin. So Dr. Mercola has gone from supplement guy and health guy to pushing insecticide on people. I wish it weren't true, but it's true. I just saw Erin Elizabeth talking about it on her Twitter today. So anyway, let's get into it now. Here, let me find the first one. Now I have to apologize. I did not have my normal time to go through and highlight these, so we're going to be doing it as we go. So this is sorry, let me get back up here. Oh, the thing about the Ray Pete forum was one of the forum admins, if I've got terrible internet service out here, so I'm sorry. But one of the admins decided that vitamin A is a poison. So apparently my my message is getting out there. So this is a paper that Anthony Mawson wrote about vitamin A toxicity and gout. We have two of them. There's one in 1991, and then he did one before that on hypervitaminosis, A toxicity, and gout. This was 84. Oh, wait, I didn't want that. We wanted this. So you guys, this is very simple. We're going to go into very obvious connections. So they don't even have an abstract on this. Let's see the full text links. The Lancet's not going to give it to us. We'll just go over the abstract here. Several lines of indirect evidence implicate vitamin A intoxication associated mainly with impaired renal, that's kidney function, so bad kidney function, in the etiopathogenesis, that's the cause of gouty arthritis. The enzyme xanthine oxidase is involved not only in the conversion of xanthine to uric acid, but also in that of retinol to its more toxic metabolite, retinoic acid. Retinoic acid should therefore be present in high concentration in hyperuricemic states. But you know what? No researchers look at retinoic acid in the blood. They just don't. But what if in a little bit I'm going to present evidence that retinoic acid, as in Accutane, causes gout in people, sometimes very, very quickly. So xanthine oxidase, this is an interesting thing. Xanthine oxidase is used to process xanthines. One is caffeine, the INE at the end. Caffeine is a xanthine. And there was a funny thing that Ray Peters were trying to say, as they said, you know, Ray Pete said caffeine, he posted a research study that said caffeine increases xanthine oxidase activity. And they were trying to say that this is a good thing. Well, I'm going to educate you folks on something. Let's say that caffeine was a toxin and that xanthine oxidase is one of the detox pathways of caffeine, which is a xanthine. Does it make sense that if you are in an okay health state, that if you take in a toxin, your detox pathway will ramp up because you're poisoning yourself? But they were trying to say that people should drink tons and tons of coffee because of the caffeine speeding up your xanthine oxidase. If we had a mercury detox pathway, do you think that taking more mercury would be good because you saw the mercury detox pathway speed up? So just keep that in mind. So we got two papers from Anthony Mawson. You're welcome to go and look at the full text links. But yeah, he's done two on those, one in 1984 and one in 1999. Now let's get into some other fun stuff. We have really fun stuff on vitamin A and gout. Vitamin A toxicity is kind of our thing. If you did not know, vitamin A is not a vitamin. Vitamin A is not a vitamin. It is a poison made by plants. You do not need any of it. We are proving this over and over with people's levels going down below deficiency level, and their health is getting better and better and better. And I've presented research on this on my Twitter threads, like vitamin A deficiency doesn't exist. It's a zinc deficiency. It's a protein deficiency. It's other things. So isotretinoin use for acne vulgaris. So using Accutane, which is isotretinoin for acne, is associated with increased serum blood uric acid levels. Okay, Seems pretty straightforward. Don't know that we need to really go into this much. I'm going to skip this one. We'll just Accutane. Well, let me back up on Accutane. 13-cis-retinoic acid. Isotretinoin is Accutane. They are both 13-cis-retinoic acid. Some part of every bit of vitamin A you eat is detoxed into 13-cis-retinoic acid, the same compound, the exact same chemical compound as Accutane. It's detoxed into all trans-retinoic acid, which is retin A, which is tretinoin, and it's detoxed into 9-cis-retinoic acid, which is called alitretinoin, which is used mainly as chemotherapy. So, if you would like to take the risk and say, I think that naturally derived Accutane is somehow safer and not toxic like Accutane is, and if you don't know about the toxicity of Accutane, it's horrible. I fix people from becoming broken from it every day. You can go ahead and place that bet. You're not going to win. So anyway, see here we see this going. We see the uric acid levels going up with Accutane, and then we come to this next one. This is 2023. Acute severe gouty arthritis secondary to isotretinoin toxicity in a young male, a case report. Well, that seems pretty straightforward. I don't know that I need to go into this paper so much. Oh, I'm forgetting all my links. Hold on. I need to make Joe's I have not been doing any links. Let me get those links for you. And we will go. There's the first link. There's the second link. Here. Then we got isotretinoin use. We got this one. And this one. And then we're going to go over the best one. Independent association of serum retinol, that's blood vitamin A, that's the main one they measure. Independent association of serum retinol and beta-carotene levels with hyperuricemia, too much uric acid in the blood. A national population study. Well, there's a great line in here. Uses of synthetic vitamin A derivatives, example, isotretinoin used for severe acne, and high doses of preformed vitamin A, animal vitamin A, as in retinol palmitate, folks, have been implicated in the pathogenesis, the creation of the disease of hyperuricemia and gout. Whereas a trial reported that beta-carotene may lower serum uric acid levels. Well, is that what we're going to find? Let's just pay real close attention to this one. Serum uric acid levels, blood uric acid levels increased linearly. They went up together with increasing serum retinol levels. So more vitamin A in your blood means more uric acid, which would tend to be associated with more gout. Now get this, whereas serum urinary acid levels decreased with increasing serum beta-carotene levels. Well, they're not getting as much retinol, so retinol goes up. But why does your body stops converting carotenoids when the liver's already too full? That's why when people say that, we don't convert carotenoids, that's because they're already vitamin A toxic. But anyway, I just love this first line. Serum uric acid levels increase linearly with increasing serum retinol levels. We have Accutane causing gout. They already said in here, preformed vitamin A is associated with the pathogenesis of gout. Isotretinoin causing it. We've got Anthony Mawson writing entire papers on it. Yeah. People are like, oh, no, it's the purines. No, it's that you can't process the purines. We'll go into that. So now let's keep going now. I didn't do these in the right order either. We're going to be going a little out of my normal order, but you guys may not even notice that. Analysis of metabolites in gout. So I've told you guys before, you can search for bile and a certain disease on PubMed, or you can search for metabolomics and certain disease states. Let's see. I don't know if this paper had anything on bile. Nope. We had, what do we have in here? There was something in here. I kept this for some reason, but I didn't have time to mark it. Let me go down here. I don't think I have anything in this one. At least if I did, I didn't mark it. And I'm not going to look through this whole thing. So we'll just put this here. Maybe if you guys find something in it, let me know in the chat. So one of the things we like to go over, one of the things in toxic bile theory is, so your liver makes bile. Your liver typically makes primary bile acids, and then it puts all those other toxins in it, toxic metals, toxic vitamin A, toxic copper. It puts all this stuff in it. Now, if you cannot get rid of the bile through your poop, which is the way you're supposed to get rid of it, typically standard American diets reabsorb 95% of your bile. 95% is reabsorbed, so you only get rid of 5% of it in your poop. Now, imagine if you're not pooping well. It stays in your guts longer and you reabsorb more of it. The other thing is that your gut biome, if it's fed the wrong things, you get the wrong things growing well. And if you feed the wrong gut biome primary bile acids, they turn it into secondary bile acids, which are extra toxic to everything they touch, like lithocholic acid, deoxycholic acid, all sorts of stuff. So they're talking about uric acid extrarenal. That's on top of the kidney, if you will. So, gut biome. Humans do not produce uricase, an enzyme responsible for degrading uric acid. However, some bacteria residing in the gut can degrade 1/3 of the dietary and endogenous uric acid generated daily. Well, imagine if your toxic bile kills off the wrong bacteria, like the bacteria that digests your oxalates, like the bacteria that digests uric acid, stuff like that. So let's get into a remarkable intestinal dysbiosis. So the wrong bacteria growing in the gut and shifts in abundance of certain bacterial taxa or species, if you will, in gout patients have been consistently reported among different studies. So you want to think of the liver makes toxic bile. Toxic bile damages stuff. It goes into your gut. The gut bacteria can then turn it into either less toxic or more toxic stuff. Like with the uricase, right? If you have more uricase, if the bacteria have more uricase, you could break down the uric acid. That's a good thing. Or you can break down the oxalates. So then the gut can either make the recipe or the composition of the bile more or less toxic. And this is a consistent finding in gout. Interesting. Now, if you cannot get rid of, if you are leaking bile into the blood, the next place it goes to is the kidneys. Kidneys get damaged. If your kidneys and your intestines can't get rid of the bile, it goes to your skin. And it damages your skin as well. So, did I send this one? I think I've been forgetting a lot of them. There we go. Okay, so we got that. Now, I think this one has some bile in it. Mendelian randomization analyses support causal relationships between blood metabolites and the gut microbiome. Let's put this one in there. This one I'm positive talks about bile. I know. Wait. Here it is. Something is not. Let me see. Oh, this is what I wanted. 2-sample Mendelian randomization with data from Biobank Japan partly corroborated results with triglyceride and with uric acid. and also provided causal support for published fecal bacteria markers for cancer and cardiovascular diseases. I want you to understand that when they're looking at fecal bacterial markers, they're looking at symptoms. They're looking at outputs. That doesn't necessarily mean, we have to figure out why those are doing it. But anyway, triglycerides. I have been over this in my, let's see if I have it. I need to go. We're going to go to the forum. So I have done a whole big thing on, let's do glyceride. I've done a whole big thing connecting vitamin A toxicity with high triglycerides. So let me put that in here. So if we have vitamin A toxicity causing high triglycerides, and high triglycerides are associated with uric acid, are we simply indirectly connecting gout and uric acid to vitamin A toxicity again? Now, the other thing that we go over a lot, that we have the new articles in the Love Your Liver program about nicotinic acid, as in the active form of the form of niacin, the only form of niacin that we recommend and use. It is well known that nicotinic acid lowers triglycerides. It is well known, as we're going to get into, that nicotinic acid is the gasoline for ALDH, aldehyde dehydrogenase, to run, so that you can clear out things that are toxic, including it helps. Well, you'll see that ALDH is connected to uric acid. We may not have a direct connection, but you're going to see lots of connections. So there's that connection. Association between gut microbiota. Did I do this one? I did do this one. Yes? No, I didn't. Here we go. That. Association between gut microbiota and an elevated serum urate in 2 independent cohorts. Let's see. The thing you have to understand is what is dysbiosis? Why does dysbiosis happen? Just like when we talk about if we were to talk about terrain theory, or what the body's made of, and that's what grows. Well, if your gut is made of the wrong thing, if you have like diseased, necrotic, dying tissue in your gut, what do you think that's going to grow? If you have toxic bile flowing through your gut every day, what do you think that's going to grow? So if we see gut microbiota dysbiosis associated with serum urate, elevated serum urate levels, we go, there's a connection. Now, I know I found bile in one of these papers, and I'm just not finding it right now, but I'm going to do a quick check. Oh, that was not it. Copy. There we go. That one. I know there was bile in one of these. I had it. They did do bile in here, but I'm not going to go search that big old document. Not in there. Oh, I guess. I swear I had it, but I'm just not going to waste time on it today. But if you do, what do we do? Let's just do a quick search. And now they're going to say it has long been proposed that albumin, bilirubin, and uric acid may inhibit cancer development. Yeah, bilirubin gets into bilirubin's bilirubin. It's bile in your blood. It's one of the things that you can measure, bile in your blood, and then they're going to say uric acid, which causes a disease, is somehow protective against cancer. Like it's just a joke. So yeah, we're done with that. So now let's get into the next one. Wait, let me go and do this link before I forget, because I bet I didn't do it. I'm just going to do it anyway. And then we're going to go. There we go. We'll get to that in a second. So we don't like lots of vitamin A in the blood. Obviously, it says it's associated with gout. We don't like copper, the toxic metal copper. Tends to be a problem. Here we have the paper association between serum copper levels, blood copper levels, and prevalence of hyperuricemia, a cross-sectional study. Okay. Serum copper concentration was positively or associated with the prevalence of hyperuricemia. So as blood copper concentration went up, more uric acid in the blood. Vitamin A goes up in the blood, more uric acid. What a weird coincidence. Copper's not good for your liver. Copper's not good for you. Can't avoid it completely, but you can work on it. Now, here's a fun one. I found this paper. I posted this on Twitter. For all you bioavailable copper folks who have been misled, would you not think, if you thought copper was good for you, people who lived in areas of high copper levels in the soil, that should be good, right? Isn't that natural copper and bioavailable? Just so you know, bioavailable just means it can get into your body. That's what the word bioavailable means. It means it can enter into your system. Toxic metals are bioavailable. They get into your system. The word bioavailable copper and the concept of this, that somehow when copper binds to nicotinic acid, if you did not know, mitosynergy, the magical bioavailable copper, is simply copper bound to nicotinic acid. It is copper nicotinate. The benefits of that supplement are not from the copper. They're from the nicotinic acid. The people out there pushing nicotine right now. Nicotine is a terrible and inefficient and side effect ridden source of nicotinic acid. Why use nicotine when you can just use nicotinic acid? So here we have increased inflammation in rheumatoid arthritis patients living where farm soils contain high levels of copper. That's weird. Results, rheumatoid arthritis patients living where farm soils contain high levels of copper had increased white blood cell counts. That's a sign of toxicity. Erythrocyte sedimentation rate, that's a marker of inflammation. And disease activity score 28 compared with patients living where copper levels were low. Oh, but keep drinking out of your copper cups. Like that's a thing on Twitter right now. Oh, I feel so bad for these people. Don't wear copper clothing. Don't wear copper bracelets. Eve asks about copper pipes. Copper pipes, a lot of people are not going to be able to escape. So you're going to be having to put reverse osmosis or distillation on your drinking water. And you're going to need to put the Aqua Youth 2.0 shower filter on your shower. That's about the best we can do. That's the only company that's shown test results for copper reduction in the water. But yes, copper water pipes. I went over copper water pipes, I think, in the depression video about how the amount of copper exposure from copper water, from tap water with going through copper water pipes was actually enough to cause a problem. So yes, it's legit. It's not helping you. If it was helping, I mean, if copper water pipes, if copper cups were good for you, why wouldn't copper water pipes be good for you? And then I can show you multiple places in the literature where people get copper toxicity from their copper water pipes in their house. Copper is a toxic metal. So now this. Oh, I didn't finish here. No, I did. Sorry if I'm moving around a little jumpy. Okay. So now we talk a lot about ALDH here. I consider ALDH to be the most important detox enzyme out there. Helps detox aldehydes, ALDH, aldehyde dehydrogenase. In all the research I found and in putting together patterns, ALDH, when it is slowed down via toxicity and nutrient deficiencies, your bile production tends to slow down, and you also tend to get more bile going backwards in the blood. So you don't want bile going back into the blood. That's bad. And even if you're not making a lot of bile, if it's going backwards into your blood, that's still bad. So what we are trying to do as a method of detoxifying and health is we want your body making the right amount of bile. We want it to be less toxic. We want it to go out in your poop. That's the goal. So one of the things you need to know, for those of you out there who don't know this, it's been estimated that 50% of Asians, so for those of you who think genetics is like everything, I mean, genetics is important, don't get me wrong. But genetically, Asians tend to have about 50% of Asians have a genetic slow ALDH. Their ALDH genetically runs slow. This is the cause of the Asian flush, the Asian glow, where Asian folks who have this, they'll have a drink or maybe two, and they turn very red. They tend to get very, very intoxicated very quickly. They tend to have bigger hangovers. It's not a comfortable thing. This is not a good flush like a niacin flush. This is a toxic flush because they have too much acetaldehyde in them. Okay. So risk of gout among Taiwanese adults with ALDH2 RS671 polymorphism, according to BMI and alcohol intake. Well, what does alcohol turn into? Acetaldehyde. Acetaldehyde builds up in those who have slow ALDH. Causes all sorts of liver problems. And then BMI, I've gone over here multiple times. I got a Twitter thread on vitamin A and obesity. I've got a video here on the channel about copper and obesity. Weird that those would both be high in gout. So it's weird how all these connect, right? Oh, we need the links. How far back do I need to go in the links, Joe? Or are you just reminding me? 2. Let me go back then. Here, we'll do this one. Hope that's it. Just remember, folks, if you need to find a study, here's what you do. Go to pubmed.gov. And if you see the title that I put here, because it's on the screen, right? We're recording. Or you can put the PMID, PubMed ID, into the search engine right here. So if you don't have the link, you can just you could type this into Google. You could type this into here. You could use the PubMed ID. You could use this DOI address on the internet. So you can find it. I know you can do it. So slow ALDH, is it connected to gout? Oh, is this the one? Wait. Let's go over these. GG. We got to get that. We got to get the abbreviations. Alcohol drinking and abnormal BMI, they mean heavy, were associated with a higher risk of gout. Alcohol drinking and obesity are associated with more toxicity. Whereas the RS671GA plus AA genotype was associated with a lower risk. Well, they're finding a connection. Let's see. I don't want to look up all those abbreviations. Noteworthy, BMI and alcohol had a significant interaction on gout risk. Stratified analyses reveal that alcohol drinking, especially among normal weight individuals, might elevate the risk of gout irregardless of the genotype. So, yeah, just because you're skinny or normal doesn't mean drinking alcohol is not bad for you. So that was ALDH. So what we're establishing here is that ALDH is connected. I do not know if the genotype they're talking about here, if this is a good or a bad one, but there was some association. So now we're going to go into more. Independent effects of ADH1B, which is alcohol dehydrogenase. So this takes alcohol like ethanol and turns it into acetaldehyde, the aldehyde. And then ALDH2, takes the aldehyde, acetaldehyde, and turns it into acetic acid. which is the same thing as in vinegar. So vinegar is a waste product, a detox product of sugar, which then turns into some of the sugar you consume turns into ethanol in your body, then it turns into acetaldehyde, then it turns into acetic acid. Okay. So we have, this helps process alcohols into aldehydes. This helps process aldehydes into acids. These are both part of the vitamin A detox pathway. Dysfunctional variants on gout risk. And I already told you how ALDH is connected to bile. Let's see. Furthermore, common variants of ADH1 and ALDH2 are independently associated with gout. So what does this mean, folks? People, do you want to be a victim of your genetics? I mean, genetics are real. Always remember, environment, which means everything you're exposed to, everything you're putting in your cake hole, everything you're rubbing on your skin, everything you live around. You got mold toxins in your house. You got mercury fillings. You got copper water pipes. You got glyphosate being sprayed by the landscapers. You got all this stuff. That's your environment. Environment loads the gun. Sorry, genetics loads the gun. I said that wrong. Genetics loads the gun. So your genetics puts the bullet in the gun, which then makes it able to potentially cause damage. Environment, everything you're exposed to, pulls the trigger. So imagine these folks with the ALDH1 bad genetics. It's really bad for them if they drink alcohol. They've loaded the gun and they pulled the trigger. Okay. What if those people with the ALDH variant didn't drink alcohol? Well, at least they're not pulling that trigger. But let's say they take a bunch of vitamin A, which is one form of it's an aldehyde. They're pulling the trigger that way. They can't clear that. So let's keep going. I just thought this was a fun paper. Uric acid determination using an aldehyde dehydrogenase and a uricase aldehyde dehydrogenase nylon tube reactor. Wow. So apparently aldehyde dehydrogenase and this uricase, remember we talked about that with the bacteria. A certain bacteria can make uricase to break down uric acid. A uricase aldehyde dehydrogenase nylon tube reactor. Well, they must be connected. Weird. So when we talk about ALDH, we do things, we try to stop intoxing before we start detoxing. What does that mean here? Well, we stop putting in excess aldehydes like alcohol, which turns into acetaldehyde. We stop putting in things that contain, there are foods out there that contain methanol or formaldehyde. We don't want to put those in. A lot of these spices you may love that you may use tons of. Vanilla contains an aldehyde. Cumin contains an aldehyde. There's tons of aldehydes out there. If it smells a lot, it's very likely, not guaranteed, but it's very likely that there are aldehydes in it. So if you folks are like using essential oils, you're either sniffing aldehydes all the time, or you're putting them on your skin and you're absorbing them, or you're drinking them in your water. Just stop. So again, there's a reason they do Asians in these studies. It's not racist. 50% of them have genetically slow ALDH. So this is an important research for them. So yeah, let's go into this. Let's just get down to the bottom. So men get gout more than women, if you didn't know. The ALDH2 polymorphism is related to serum uric acid in Beijing males, and A allele carrying males have lower serum uric acid levels. So genetics loads the gun, environment pulls the trigger. Okay. Now, for that xanthine oxidase, I just thought this was interesting. Aldehyde oxidase, this would be another thing that can detox aldehydes. So it's not just aldehyde dehydrogenase. They're saying in conjunction with xanthine oxidoreductase, which is another form of a detox enzyme for xanthines. Wow, your body really wants to get rid of these caffeines and these methylxanthines and all this stuff. Your body really has multiple avenues of detox for them. It must not like them. It must be important to get rid of them. So this one is, in conjunction with xanthine oxidoreductase, so together with aldehyde oxidase is absent. It's not present in xanthinuria. People are peeing out xanthines, type 2, and molybdenum cofactor deficiency. We talk a lot about molybdenum in the program. I don't tend to talk about molybdenum too much out here because people can take too much. You can take too much molybdenum. It's not hard. If you take that Thorne 1,000 microgram pill, you can easily poison yourself with too much molybdenum. Absolutely. But if you do need molybdenum to run xanthine oxidase, you need molybdenum to run aldehyde dehydrogenase, you need molybdenum to run sulfide oxidase. Wow. Wait, so you need molybdenum to detox aldehydes, you need molybdenum to detox sulfur compounds, and you need molybdenum to detox, what was the last one I was talking about? Xanthines. So caffeines and vitamin A and other aldehydes and sulfur. Wow, we don't like those things. So, yeah. And then they can look up, they can see xanthine oxidase reductase deficiencies may be detected during the routine measurement of urinary or plasma uric acid levels. Well, what do you think they are? They're high. And then they go, oh, we can go look up genetic issues because we're seeing high uric acid levels. The xanthine oxidase family comprises diverse molybdo enzymes, but a lot of people out there, like let's say the Ray Peters and the protocol people and this stuff, they're afraid of things that are copper antagonists, like molybdenum, like zinc, like these other things, because they think you're going to get a copper deficiency. I've been taking molybdenum and selenium and zinc for years now, and my copper is still there. It's not going anywhere. Copper is a toxin you store in your liver. Don't take stupid amounts of zinc. Don't take stupid amounts of selenium. Don't take stupid amounts of molybdenum, and you won't have any problem. Okay. Well, Stugtron, you were asking how to spell molybdenum. It's right there. Some people call it molybdenum, if you want to say it in a more, broken down way. Or some people call it Molly B. Some people call it Molly. I don't care what you say as long as you understand what it is. So, did I put this one on there? Yes, I did. So let's go into the next one. So we've now connected the gut microbiome. We've connected aldehyde dehydrogenase. We've connected copper toxicity. We've connected vitamin A toxicity. So now we're going to go into some of the nutrient deficiencies. There's one more toxicity I want to go into. One more. Which one is this? Well, let's do this toxicity one. Association of metal exposure with hyperuricemia and gout in general adults. We just need one line. Higher levels of mercury and lead were associated with gout, but only in those in the fourth quartile had statistical significance. So only the highest could they find these as being connected specifically. So yes, toxic metals can cause. This is why we go over all these things, folks. So we're not just trying to say it's all one thing. Some people try to put me in a box because they're afraid of my message. And they'll say, oh, he's the vitamin A toxicity guy. Everything's vitamin A toxicity. No, it's that we can connect vitamin A toxicity to a whole bunch of things, because when your liver runs slowly, you build up poisons in your system, all sorts of poisons. And one of the ways we can see this is your vitamin A starts going up either in your liver or in your blood. Okay. So there's that one. Wait, I need to see what this one was. Here it is. Clinicopathology of gout in growing layers. I believe this means egg-laying chickens. Induced by high calcium and high protein diets. I'm going to guess they were probably giving these chickens like casein, like the dairy protein. But high calcium, what do we talk about not having an excess of in your system here? Well, we talk about not having an excess of calcium. What does mainstream try to get you to do? Vitamin D, do you know what the side effect of vitamin D toxicity is? Hypercalcemia, too much calcium in your blood. Mainstream loves vitamin A. What is the side effect of vitamin A toxicity? Hypercalcemia, too much calcium in your blood. Copper toxicity, I've gone over the research on this before. Copper toxicity will raise calcium in your blood. What do they push? Calcium supplements. Obviously, what's the best way to raise calcium in your system? Take a calcium supplement. Jiminy Christmas. So we got all these things that we work against. Too much calcium in your blood, your body has to rescue you so that you don't start getting too much. Calcium's an electrolyte. It affects the electrical conductivity of your body. What runs on electricity in your body that's really, really important? Like your brain and your heart. Okay. So your body has to really control the minerals in your blood so that you don't get too much calcium and cause brain malfunction or heart malfunction and you die. So what will your body do to protect the blood mineral levels? Well, with calcium, if you have too much in your blood, it doesn't put it back in your bone. Wouldn't that be nice? It shoves it into your soft tissues because it has to get rid of it quickly. Building bone seems to take a while, right? So you can't just like shove calcium into the bone. Like the idea that if you have osteoporosis, taking more calcium is going to fix it. No, it doesn't fix it. It just calcifies your heart, calcifies your brain, calcifies your joints. Same thing with vitamin D. It makes people stiff and sore and calcify themselves into living statues. So interesting. Gout in chickens induced by high calcium. Let's go down here. And high protein. But I don't think, I would love to know what they're feeding them in terms of protein. But what do we find? The high calcium, high protein, and high calcium diet cause severe kidney damage. Well, let's go over this. Typical visceral gout was induced by the high calcium. I keep wanting to say high. I keep wanting to say the wrong thing there. Typical visceral gout was induced by the high calcium, high protein diet. The high calcium, high protein, and high calcium diet caused severe kidney damage. But wait, here's this. The high protein diet by itself did not cause kidney damage, but significantly increased plasma uric acid and inorganic phosphorus concentrations. What does it seem like the common problem is here? I don't know, high calcium, high calcium, high calcium. High calcium causing problems. But I don't know what kind of protein they gave these chickens. If you want to go look it up, you can. So how many did I miss back? Link for the chickens. Okay, got it. Calcium oxalate stones in gout. This is weird. Uric acid crystals, crystallization, and calcium oxalate stones, crystallization connected. This is so weird. Gout is well known to be produced by increasing uric acid levels in the blood. Okay. Just go see. Let's see what they summarize it as. The high values of promoters, namely uric acid and calcium in the gouty stone patients, indicate that the tendency for urinary stone formation in the gouty stone patients. Well, weird that they're connected, that vitamin A can be connected. I don't know if I've shown you. Let me go find, let me go on the forum. I've shown this before. Higher vitamin A levels in the blood of dogs was associated with more renal stones, kidney stones of all types. So here we go. Here's a post I did on all of this, and there was, let me find it. So I summarized it here. It's this paper. And then here's the article that I wrote. I love it when there's people who will be like, that's your site. I'm not going to your site. That's not real research. And I'm like, where am I supposed to accumulate research links and put them all in one place so I can show you them all at once? I can't. Like, people post the dumbest stuff. They really do. So anyway, dogs that had a history of forming stones, including calcium oxalate, uroliths of struvite, aka struvite, magnesium ammonium phosphate, urate, and cysteine stones had higher vitamin A in their blood, higher vitamin A in their urine, higher fat storable retinol esters. So this is vitamin A bound to a fatty acid in their pee. The same retinol binding protein levels as normal dogs. And they definitely did not have vitamin A deficiency. They were trying to gaslight people into thinking that they were trying to prove that vitamin A deficiency was associated with kidney stones, because somehow in their delusions, they think that vitamin A decalcifies things. So here's the thing you need to know. Retinol binding protein protects you from zinc to make it. So if there was, in the stone forming dogs, if they have more vitamin A everywhere and they have less retinol binding protein, the protector, they have less of the protector against the toxins, does it make sense they would have more problems? Doesn't this just make sense? Retinol binding protein is not a little cute delivery system. It protects you from the vitamin A. Your body makes proteins like antibodies to bind to toxins. So here's that paper. These are urinary tract stones. Lith is stones. Okay, well, apparently the audio cut out. But anyway, read this. Realize that more vitamin A and less retinol binding protein to protect them, which I explain it down here. Less retinol binding protein, higher vitamin A equals more problems. That's how this works. So that's the calcium one. Now let's go this one. I think we're on to selenium. No, zinc. We're going to do zinc. So we love zinc. Just know that the plant-based diet that they want us to eat, the high bug diet, and even a high dairy diet, if you got lots of your protein from dairy, these are all low zinc sources. Forget the antioxidant thing here. Anti-gout effects of orally administered zinc oxide nanoparticles in gouty mice. Zinc oxide is like the worst form of zinc that you could take, like least absorbed. I don't want people taking nanoparticles of anything. I don't trust nanoparticles, but still, anti-gout effects of the worst zinc as nanoparticles in gouty mice. So how important might zinc be to this whole process if the crappiest form works? What happened? Zinc oxide nanoparticles at concentrations of 10 and 20 parts per million were significant in reducing serum uric acid concentration, thus treating gouty arthritis. Remember, copper made uric acid go up. Zinc made uric acid go down. So reactive oxygen species and thiobarbituric acid reactive substances were significantly increased in comparison to the zinc oxide nanoparticles treated groups. That's generally a good thing. But we don't say it's because antioxidant. Antioxidant theory is garbage. Furthermore, blood count and liver function tests also showed the effectiveness of zinc oxide in the reduction of high uric acid levels in the blood, hyperuricemia. Histopathological analysis showed no apparent changes in liver, kidney, and muscle tissue, so they found no damage. Wow, zinc would seem to be good. Wait, what did that just do? Here's another zinc study. We're not going to talk about folic acid. Don't take folic acid in general. It's just safer that way. We're working on a folinic acid option for people, but don't take folic acid. Well, don't ever even consider folic acid unless you're on nicotinic acid. And if you want to talk to Kelsey more about that, talk to Kelsey. She wrote all our nicotinic acid article stuff. She's on Twitter as Kelsey Kenney, Kenney 144. Go follow her on Twitter. And she did our articles in the Love Your Liver program. She has a Telegram group about nicotinic acid that you can join. Kelsey's a good one. Don't miss out on her stuff. So, zinc improves hyperuricemia. Imagine that, by altering the gut microbiota. Wow, what would the zinc be changing? It could be feeding the gut microbiome. It could also be making the bile less toxic. The high purine diet-induced uricemia. Let me tell you about high purines. If you're people, well, first of all, we don't want to eat organ meats. Organ meats are really high in purines. Liver's really high in copper and vitamin A. And copper and vitamin A are associated with gout. That's really weird. And then when I get into the plant-based diet and how they didn't see any changes in the uric acid levels, which theoretically they should, we'll get into that. The purines may be a problem, but remember, they talk about organ meats with gout, and they say it's the purines. I'm going to say it's the toxins that are making all the other things worse. So let's just go down here. These findings indicate that folic acid and zinc ameliorate or make better hyperuricemia, high uric acid in the blood, by inhibiting uric acid biosynthesis and stimulating uric acid excretion, aka detoxification, by modulating the gut microbiome. Thus, folic acid and zinc may be new and safe therapeutic agents to improve high uric acid in the blood. We love zinc. Don't take too much. How do you know if you're taking too much or too little and if it's working? Well, that's why we do our testing and consultation. We are the only people out there that blood test and hair test for both zinc and copper. Was this the one? This was a repeat. Okay. Did I not do that link, Joe? Thought I did. I did. Okay, great. So we got that. I think we got all these. Let's go. This was blood metals. That was calcium. Okay. Only found one study on magnesium. For those of you who don't know, we make a magnesium lotion now. It's available on the website. I have little hesitation in saying it is by far the best magnesium lotion on the market. It is absolutely the strongest magnesium lotion on the market, so it has the most magnesium. And some of you may be worried, oh my gosh, I put magnesium on my skin and it burned and it stung and it tingled and it itched. Well, ours doesn't do that, even though we've got more magnesium than everybody else out there. So you can ask people in the chat to verify that. So now we have dietary magnesium intake and hyperuricemia among U.S. adults. Hopefully you all know what hyperuricemia is by this point, high uric acid in the blood. Our results indicated that increased magnesium intake was associated with decreased hyperuricemia risk. It also indicated the importance of the RDA of magnesium and the potential function of magnesium intake in the prevention of hyperuricemia. Well, magnesium helps to dissolve calcium deposits. And we just saw that calcium oxalate and uric acid were connected. Are you seeing how this is all connected? This is why you see the same things, the same patterns on this show every week. What everybody else sees, what modern medicine sees, is they see disease names. Let's slam a name on this disease. And we're going in there saying the mechanisms of disease are the same. The presentation is different. The different symptoms. You know how people they could catch the same cold, which is a detox, but they have variations on their symptoms. Well, how does that work? How is it now that all of these people got sick all around me? There was strep throat around me. There was this new whatever flu going around, and yet I didn't get sick. How does that work? Because getting a cold or a flu is a detox event. You are dumping garbage from your liver into your system. It was a dump that was triggered. Now, you then have the choice of doing the typical cold and flu remedies, which shut down your bile production and just shove that bile right back in the liver. It's not going to escape. And then you wonder why you keep having to take the cold and flu remedies over and over and they stop working. And then all of a sudden, maybe you've got an autoimmune condition. That's toxicity. Or bigger problems later, like cancer, which is stored toxicity. If you shut down most of what people do in the alternative world and the conventional world, is they are shutting down detox. They think they're helping. They're not. Stugtron, I may look up. Maybe I'll go over that at the end. Anyway, we're almost to noon already. I gotta get out of here. But anyway, magnesium helps with everything. If you have a painful area, you have gouty big toe, you have bad knees, you have an achy shoulder. Oh, so about the magnesium lotion. Magnesium lotion, the general dosing I'm telling people is 2 pumps a day minimum. So we have a nice little pump, which makes it easy to dispense. You don't have to measure it. You can just do pump and then pump. 2 pumps a day applied wherever you want. I mean, don't put it on mucous membranes. Okay, be smart. It's not an oral lotion. Don't take it oral. Okay, don't do that. Put it on your skin. Works 10 times better than magnesium pills, in my opinion, but 2 pumps a day. And you'll be feeling much better. Can you use more than 2 pumps a day? Absolutely. You can use as much as you want, but 2 pumps a day is the minimum. Ramon, you were saying, sorry, you just caught up with the live stream. Thank you. If you're thanking me for something I did, I don't know what it was, but I'll get to that. So now let's find the selenium one. That was the magnesium. Wait, didn't I? There it is. Yes. So we found one on selenium. Selenium's another thing. You need selenium to run ALDH. Altered serum selenium and uric acid levels and dyslipidemia. That's either high triglycerides or high cholesterol. In hemodialysis patients, well, they're not detoxing too well because they've already fried their kidneys. They need a machine to be their kidneys for them. Could be associated with enhanced cardiovascular risk. You think? You think having too much bile in your blood that your kidneys can't even get rid of? Let's go HPs. Hemodialysis patients. First objective was to follow up serum selenium concentrations in 117 hemodialysis patients, HPs, during a 2-year study relating concentrations to biochemical indexes. I believe they mean indices. Mean serum selenium levels were significantly lower in hemodialysis patients than in the controls. Interesting. Hemodialysis patients showed a marked dyslipidemia. So they're actually, this is low cholesterol in a sick person is a bad sign. Low cholesterol in a person who has earned it and is healthy and they're not doing it with like statins. Low cholesterol in a, like Grant Genereux, who started the vitamin A toxicity thing, he's at 9 years now of doing it. His cholesterol levels were like, his total cholesterol was like 120. His health is amazing. Some of you folks who have been like psyoped into thinking that like high cholesterol is good. No. Low cholesterol in a sick person is worse than high cholesterol. High cholesterol is next worse. And then you have low cholesterol in people who have earned it properly. But they're also, these are hemodialysis patients. Gosh, do you think that this might filter out some of these things? But a significant increase in triglyceride levels, well, that would mean more vitamin A and less nicotinic acid. So here we go. Serum selenium levels in hemodialysis patients were correlated negatively with uric acid levels. I want you to understand what negative correlation. This means the opposite. High selenium, high selenium, lower uric acid. High selenium, lower uric acid. Lower selenium, less selenium, higher uric acid. And Rusticus says gout has a strong correlation to not exercising daily. We as humans need to move our bodies. So like if you're really sick, and let's say you know, fibromyalgia. We did a whole episode on fibromyalgia. Go back and watch it. But if you're really, really sick and exercise wrecks you, don't go and wreck yourself just to exercise. What we do is we work on your health first. So you start building capacity to exercise. So then the exercise can be good for you and not wreck you. So see, there's different stages of this stuff. You can't just like you can't start a martial art and be a total noob white belt and then go and do the things that black belts do. You'll hurt yourself. You can't go into the gym and see the huge guys squatting and go and put a huge weight on your back just because that's what the big guys do. You'll hurt yourself. Yes, walking and moving is what Rustica is talking about. Yes, absolutely. I mean, if you are really sick, walking to an extent that you don't feel wrecked after it is your starting exercise. Getting outside if you can, getting in the fresh air, getting some nice sunlight on you. Key thing is that you don't feel wrecked afterwards. And if you do this right, your body will start to feel better. So yes, there was a saying that my biochemistry teacher in naturopathic medical school taught us, is that you have to use energy to make energy. And this is true in the ATP production cycles, and it's true in people. So if you don't do anything all the time, you ever notice how when you like don't have things to do and you don't do anything, you actually feel more tired? Right? You ever notice that? So if you want to have more, to make energy, you must use energy. Oh, Joe said he had gout in his big toe. He doesn't feel it anymore. Well, there you go. So now this was magnesium. Let's go into, what is that one? Oh, potassium. We do love potassium. The importance of potassium citrate and potassium bicarbonate in the treatment of uric acid renal stones. So kidney stones that are made of uric acid. Just notice the key thing here. Yes, citrate can bind to calcium. Bicarbonate is an alkalizer, but notice they both have potassium here. We're going to see a pattern of that. Uric acid calculi can also be treated without surgery with simple medical lytic therapy, breaking up therapy. They're giving potassium to get rid of uric acid stones. Oh, and Rustica said, my grandma had gout and stunk like a rotten corpse. It began when she had her gallbladder removed. We had somebody who told us their grandpa had horrible eczema all over his body. And once they put a stent, they held open his bile duct that was becoming blocked. But he'd had this eczema like his whole life. But they finally started finding that he was having real liver problems, and they found that he had a blocked bile duct, and they put a stent in it to hold open the bile duct, and guess what happened within a week? His lifelong eczema went away. What did they change? They opened up the flow of bile to not be backing up into the system. And his disease went away. Imagine that. Crazy. So, a case of bilateral renal uric acid stones that were successfully treated by alkalizing treatment was presented. So yes, potassium citrate is alkaline. Yes, potassium bicarbonate is alkaline. The potassium is alkaline. In general, minerals are alkaline. Let's connect this. So was it the citrate or the bicarbonate, or was it the potassium? Uric acid and potassium serum levels are independent predictors of blood pressure, non-dipping in overweight or obese subjects. Let's see. Where was it? Where was it? I wanted one of the things they're finding here, I'm going to tell you, potassium and blood pressure is super connected. Potassium deficiency is super connected. Let's see. We're talking about hypertension, but they want lower potassium and uric acid serum levels were independent predictive factors of a non-dipping blood pressure profile. So it didn't dip. So uric acid, they're just finding a correlation there. Oh, is Will on here? Yeah. So there seems to be some connection there. And then let's do one more. Potassium. Successful management of uric acid nephrolithiasis. Nephrolithiasis. Kidney stone. Uric acid nephrolithiasis with potassium citrate. Just another potassium one. Let's see. Oh, yeah. So here's another evidence that it was the potassium, right? So they gave, where was it? It's not just the alkaline thing. They underwent long-term treatment with potassium citrate. Urinary content of undissociated uric acid, which was high to begin with, decreased to the normal range following treatment. So they gave them potassium citrate. So was it the alkalization? Urinary saturation of calcium oxalate, another type of kidney stone former, significantly declined with potassium citrate treatment. If you want potassium citrate, I highly suggest on Amazon, maybe somewhere else, the Micro Ingredients brand. Micro Ingredients potassium citrate. It is non-GMO and it's American made. So it's not Chinese made and it's non-GMO. So remission was experienced in 94.4% of patients, and the group stone formation rate declined by 99.2%. It's pretty good, right? How many of the doctors out there, when they see kidney stones or gout, are giving potassium citrate? But then, when sodium alkali was given as bicarbonate or citrate, new stone formation continued in 4 patients. And a radiolucent urate became calcified in the remaining patient. The stone analysis disclosed calcium oxalate in 5 patients and calcium phosphate in 3 patients. Do you know that low potassium tends to go with high calcium in the research? High calcium would tend to calcify things, and it goes along with low potassium. So what if you raise the potassium? Does that mean that maybe the calcium might come down on its own? Is that what this is saying? So it's not just the alkaline part. Notice again, potassium citrate, potassium bicarbonate. This one said they tried sodium bicarbonate or sodium citrate, and it didn't work as well. So what is the magical component there that's making the difference? Most likely it's potassium. Potassium is huge. Fixing your potassium intake, whether it's through food or whether it's through supplements, whether it's through one type of supplemental potassium or whether it's through multiple types, is one of the quickest ways you can help your health state. It's also, if you're going to be dumb, you better be tough. If you decide to go stupid on your potassium dosing and just jump in and you don't get along with the type of potassium you took, or you just took way too much, you could send yourself to the hospital with like heart rhythm stuff. Gosh, where would you find information to help you on your potassium journey to figure out the right types and the right doses for you? Oh, I think it's called the Love Your Liver program at members.nutritiondetective.com. That's the do-it-yourself program. That's where Kelsey's nicotinic acid articles are. That's where the potassium articles are. That's where the magnesium topical articles are. That's where all this stuff is. So let me see. I believe we had that connection between the nicotinic acid and here's a fun one. We'll just put this up. Oh, the last 3 links. Yeah, I can do that, Joe. Thanks for reminding me. I was trying to go through that fast. Pull this up. There we go. There's 1. 2. There's 3. So imagine, what do drugs cause? Drugs cause liver injury. What is liver injury? Liver injury is cholestasis. What is cholestasis? Cholestasis is what we call bile, cholestasis, stagnation. Bile stagnation can be the bile sitting still, like in the gallbladder, which is where it just sits in your gallbladder and attacks your gallbladder, even though your gallbladder's the one thing in your body that's made to truly hold bile. If toxic bile sits in your gallbladder too long, it just destroys your gallbladder. And then it can leak through the bile ducts into your bloodstream. It can leak through leaky gut. Toxic bile is the cause of leaky gut. I've been over that before. It can go back up into your stomach and be directly, that is the cause of GERD. It can be directly absorbed through your stomach into your bloodstream. So imagine, how do drugs cause damage? Well, they injure the liver. You get more bile in the blood. This is associated with all these things. Drug-induced hyperuricemia and gout. So don't do drugs, okay? Okay, drugs are bad. So diuretics are one of the most important causes of secondary hyperuricemia. Guess what diuretics often mess with? They mess with your potassium levels. That's weird. Several drugs may also increase uric acid production. Shocking. They raise serum uric acid level by an increase of uric acid reabsorption and or decrease in uric acid secretion. Well, that's not very good. Let's see. Oh, and we'll put this up for the Peters. I know Ray Pete talked about uric acid, and he has like a whole nother theory on it. Fructose-rich beverages and the risk of gout in women. Kelsey sent me this one. Fructose. Your liver does not like fructose. Let me be clear here at the start, though. We are not concerned about a couple pieces of fruit in a day, a couple of bananas or a couple of apples. We're not concerned about that. Yes, they contain some fructose. That's not... Added sugar is the problem. Added fructose, added white sugar. That's the big problem. But let's just go look. The consumption of fructose-rich beverages increases the risk of incident gout among women. Well, fructose-rich beverages. Remember, high fructose corn syrup, yes, it does have mercury in it, but high fructose, normal white sugar, normal white table sugar is 50% fructose, 50% glucose. And high fructose corn syrup is potentially only like 55% fructose, 45% glucose. That agave nectar that they're selling to people, that can be like 80% fructose. Added sugar is the problem. Don't eat high fructose corn syrup and absolutely minimize your added sugars in your diet. It's simple. The idea that Ray Pete had that sugar like stimulates your metabolism, no. It'd be like throwing lighter fluid on an already burning fire. Yes, it may burn hotter for a second. You might also cause a lot more damage along the way because the fire flares up and then you might burn things you didn't mean to burn. It's like an idea about it. So let me see what else I got. These are just, we talk about all these things that can damage the liver. Okay. We're not just talking about one thing. Let me see. Was this? Let me just check this one paper. See if it has bile in it. So biomarkers, metabolomics. Here we are. This is the one I wanted. So In particular, glucose levels are higher in gout patients, suggesting that metabolic disorders are more severe in gout patients than in hyperuricemia patients. So gout is the pain, hyperuricemia is the blood marker, okay? We've gone over diabetes before. Diabetics have twice as much bile in their blood, and they have a different bile recipe or composition than normal people. They have a bile problem. They tend to get more gout. Weird coinkydink. Interestingly, a noteworthy study identified primary bile acid biosynthesis as a possible new metabolic pathway. Zhang studied the serum metabolic profiles of metabolite extracts from gout patients, and urate and bilirubin are reliable metabolites in gout patients. What do we talk about high bilirubin in the blood as a marker of, folks? You're leaking bile into your blood, cholestasis. Significantly different metabolites are mainly involved in primary bile acid biosynthesis, purine metabolism, and glycerophospholipid metabolism. How do you store toxic vitamin A in your liver? You bind it to phospholipids like choline, lecithin. That's how you store vitamin A in your liver. Bile acids can affect uric acid levels in mice by interfering with orphan nuclear receptor peroxisome proliferator activated receptor alpha activation of the, I think this is xanthine oxidase dehydrogenase gene. Thus, bilirubin may be a potential biomarker influencing changes in uric acid levels. That's a lot of bile connections, isn't it? Weird. It's almost like the liver's been damaged and it's putting stuff into the blood because it's leaking there. According to metabolic studies, hyperuricemia is associated with disorders of the primary pathway for bile acids or intestinal metabolism, microbiome making secondary bile acids, which could provide a new direction for the treatment of this condition. Will they ever do it? No. Only if it shuts down the system. Periodic variation in bile acids controls circadian daily changes in uric acid via regulation of xanthine oxidase by the orphan nuclear receptor PPAR alpha. There's that paper. Here, I'll just put this link up here. And the bile controlled the uric acid. Isn't that's what they just said there in the title of the paper. Periodic variation in bile acids controls the circadian changes in uric acid. Okay. Now, here's the fun one for the plant-based diet people. That purines are terrible. Where was it? I need to find it. I'm just going to go search for it. We're going to go find it. Plant. Wait. There it is. So uric acid and plant-based nutrition, you know how there were those papers trying to say that meat is bad and purines are bad and meat is scary. So what happens when they put people on a plant-based diet? Did their uric acid change? Well, I want you to know that a plant-based diet can be plenty high in vitamin A as carotenoids. And if you are under the delusion that the body cannot convert carotenoids into retinoids, you are sorely incorrect. It absolutely does it all the time. That's how it gets rid of carotenoids out of your system. It has to break them down. I have shown studies where the body can break down carotenoids in the skin into retinol esters, the storage form of vitamin A, and send them in the bloodstream to the liver. Do not believe the people who are saying you need animal retinol because plant carotenoids can't be converted. They're wrong. They're wrong. They're wrong. Their science is bad. What happened when they gave a plant-based diet? Did it fix the whole problem? Well, let's look here. Similar to animal-based food sources, examples, meat, fish, and animal visceral organs. So these are the high purine things. Some plant-based food sources e.g. certain soy legume products, sea vegetables, and brassica vegetables also contain a high purine load. Well, let me tell you things that we don't eat on the Love Your Liver program. Well, we don't eat visceral organs. We don't eat fish. We don't eat soy. We don't eat seaweed because it's super high in vitamin A. And we don't eat brassica vegetables on a regular basis because they are super high in sulfur, which slows down ALDH. But they also have a high purine load. Well, that's interesting. Recent limited data show that even with an exclusive plant-based diet, uric acid concentrations remain in the normal range in short and long-term dieters. So it's not lowering it. It's not changing it much. Hold on one sec. So that's what I got on that. So okay. Now that we got that. So that's basically all the gout stuff. So how then, in theory, they did mention fiber. We talk about fiber here a lot on the Love Your Liver program. Fiber, soluble fiber is a big part. And then, yeah, let me get myself back on the screen so I can see that. Okay, there we go. Thank you, Joe. And for those of you who weren't here at the start, I don't know if you've been able to see my fancy new mustache for today, because I made a mistake in my beard trimming and decided to just go with it. Oops, wrong way. That goes that way. There we go. We'll center that a little bit more. And let's get into the questions. But yeah, so what will we do to fix this? Okay, so for those of you who want to do it yourself approach, you can go to the Love Your Liver program at members.nutritiondetective.com. $99 a year. It's a do-it-yourself thing. There's like 2,000 people there who are all on the same journey. I keep everything under control. Like, we are not going to tolerate. You know how Facebook is really counterproductive, as an example, or Twitter with the trolls and the people who think they know everything, and they kind of come in and they start diverting the conversation in ways that are not helpful. Yeah, we don't tolerate that crap. We are on a mission to help people, and if people are there, it's not a free speech place. We have a mission, and we are going to help people. So we don't tolerate people who are going to mess with the message. So anyway, that's the do-it-yourself program. Then if you wanted to work with Nathan or I, doing testing and consultation, we do the hair testing, we do the blood testing, you get a consult, you get lifetime access to the Love Your Liver program, because you need to know how to do that. That's the diet. That's the food approach, the toxicity approach. Like, I don't have time to go over that in a consult, neither does Nathan. If you don't understand how much information is in the Love Your Liver program that you've never addressed, you may think, I've done everything in health. Oh, you haven't. You have not. You have not. Anyway, so you can work with us. You get the consult, you get the Love Your Liver program, and you get 6 months of support in small group format from Nathan and I, twice a week, 2 sessions a week. One's me, one's Nathan. Hour, 2 hours, 3 hours worth of us troubleshooting. That's included in the package. This is how we get results that other people don't, is because we include the support, because you need it. We're not like other practitioners who just send you off into the wild to fend for yourself with like 10 bottles of pills at $400 a month and $2,000 of labs. We don't do that. Okay? So let's get to the chats. Let me look. Let me find. Oh, wait, I don't want that. Okay. So Joe put these in order. I hope Joe got the order right. Zen Dog Breath, or he says 73-year-old sibling, not on Love Your Liver. Well, we know Zen Dog Breath is on the Love Your Liver program. Huge fan. We helped him a lot, and it's super awesome to hear. So 73-year-old sibling, not on the Love Your Liver program, using vitamin A/vitamin D cream prescribed to relieve itch/rash that prednisone stopped helping. He's cracking the normie resistance, the NPC, the normie resistance slowly with this one. Now, I want you to think about that. They gave the guy prednisone. It's not working anymore. The escalation is vitamin A and vitamin D cream. Do you understand that they went from one poison to more poisons? Do you understand? Do you understand how that works? Like, we don't do that. We want the poisons out. If he got any beneficial effect from it, it's a honeymoon phase and it will end badly. So hopefully you can crack that, Joe. I've had people asking me, how do I convince my family and my friend and my spouse to do this? I can't break normies for you, folks. People who want to be in the mainstream because that makes them feel comfortable, I can't break them for you. I don't have a technique. As they say in marketing, somebody has to hear a message 7 times before they buy in. If they won't listen, I can't do that for them. I can't think for them. I can't make them not afraid to leave the mainstream for them. But what you can do is if they eat certain things or they use certain things and their symptoms get worse, you can absolutely point that out. I'll say, hey, that used to work for you, like for a month or two. And now how's that doing? Is it worse? And they're like, yeah. Yeah, this is what I told you. It was a honeymoon phase. The duration paradox. It bites you in the ass later. So don't do that. And now you get to see the effects. And now, sadly, the person is more toxic because they put all this toxic stuff in them. It shut down their detox. It reduced the bile in their blood by shutting down bile production. Their symptoms went down for a while. And then eventually the liver will win and it will get bile into your system. And then you get symptoms. That's how it works. We see it all the time. We see all the time people who try to call us out and say, this doesn't work. I use this and it works for me. And then we go, just give it time. Just give it time to marinate and it will bite you. I joke that it's like a siege. All I have to do is wait. All I got is time until the person breaks. And then sadly, I don't want them to break. But if that's the lesson they have to learn so they get it, I mean, it's just like children. If they got to touch the hot stove to learn that the stove is hot, let them touch it. I wish they didn't have to. So M&M Professional Window Cleaners Limited. This is Mike. Yes, Mike says, any health concerns with either a ceramic or porcelain crown needed due to an old root canal that needs to go? I mean, it's, you got to do something. You got to get that. This is, okay, I am not like the dental guide here. I would definitely talk to an IAOMT trained dentist or two. Like, getting second and third opinions, folks. I want you to do this. If you're going to go into the conventional medical system, get 2 or 3 opinions. Don't just go with the first guy. Get 2 or 3 opinions so that you can hear what your options are. You'll find that maybe one of the doctors is a lot more conservative. IAOMT.org, the International Association of Oral and Maxillofacial Toxicology. International Association of Oral and Maxillofacial Toxicology. And they are the best ones. They have the training on removing the mercury fillings the best, in the least toxic way to you. Here's the scary thing. Those of you who have had your mercury fillings out, like when the dentist and his staff are taking it out, the amount of protective stuff they put on, you're like, is this radioactive waste or something you're taking out of my mouth? And I had it in my mouth this whole time. And then they don't really protect you that much from it as they're drilling it out of you. Should wake you up. They put poison in your mouth. Why in the world did they ever think putting mercury in people's mouths was okay? Really? So ceramic or porcelain, the best thing you can do is get what's called biocompatibility testing, where they can actually test your blood for your compatibility with the material they're going to put in or the various materials that they can use in dental stuff. A lot of dentists don't do it. You may want to consult with somebody who does, so that at least they could order it for you. But yeah, that would be the best way to go. Biocompatibility testing would tell you whether your system is reacting to it or not. I would say, I can't say that there are no problems with ceramic or porcelain. I mean, generally, when we are going to put things inside our body, foreign things, they're not supposed to be there. So do problems tend to come about? Yeah, they can. But is it better than mercury? And is it better than a dead tooth that is infected in your mouth? Yes. Getting rid of the old bad root canal is priority number one. What you do after that, that's kind of a choice, whether you can do a bridge, whether you can do, I'm not a huge fan of implants if you can avoid them. Again, they're just drilling into your jaw and putting stuff in your jaw. But dentistry is, there's not a lot of good options. So you want to get 2 or 3 opinions, preferably from holistic type dentists. Okay. Sarah says, could do a solo show on Alzheimer's and studies. My grandmother and mother both had it, and I need to understand it better. Well, Sarah, let me put I don't know if you've seen my Alzheimer's big long article, but let me put this in the chat. Yes, I could do a whole show on this. I don't remember if I have. I'm trying to remember if I did Alzheimer's as a show. But anyway, that article has the basics for it. So, but yes, thank you for the idea. Carol says, can you mix fruits with meat? Should you separate? Oh boy, a lot of the food combining, generally sugars and plant foods are going to be better digested deeper in the intestines, whereas meat needs the stomach acid to best digest it. I put it this way. One of the guys in naturopathic medical school one of my teachers had a good thing to say. He said, the more people need to do food combining, like the more, if they combine foods in the wrong way and the more symptoms they get, it means that their stomach acid is weaker. Their digestive strength is weaker. So I'll put it to you guys this way. The more stomach problems you have, the more you can separate the types of foods, like let's say meat versus plant foods, proteins, heavy proteins versus heavy starches, or heavy proteins versus sugars, the better off your digestion will be. Like, could you imagine, those of you who have had digestive problems, when you eat one food that agrees with you, it's easy, it's not a problem. But if you combine foods, that's when you start to get the slowness, the bloating, the feeling of really fullness where things aren't moving through your gut. So just know it's always safer to separate the major types of foods. It's not safer. It's always going to be, you're going to digest better and feel less digestive symptoms. That's just the way it is. Does this mean food combining is like going to save the world? No, it's not. It's a Band-Aid for people with weak digestion. What makes digestion weak? Well, let's just say bile is overall alkaline. What is our stomach supposed to be? Acidic. So if you had bile going backwards up into your stomach like GERD, that would make your stomach less acidic. You would digest less well. You would then have weaker digestion. You would need to separate foods more. What do we do here? We get the bile going the right way and we soak it up out of the stomach. And then people start noticing that they can digest stronger and better and they don't have to do all the separating. So should you? I personally, I'm a long way down the road. I eat meat and fruit together. Sometimes I'll have a beef stick and some bananas as a common like pre-workout meal in the morning because I need something light, but I also need protein and carbs. So I'll do that. Generally, I only eat fruit once a day though. And when I do eat it, it's not with a lot of meat. I don't tend to combine salty and sugary things. I'm more of just a savory type person, just more of a salt type person. I don't eat much sugar. But yeah, combining sugar with most other things tends to aggravate things. So if it bothers your digestion, I wouldn't do it. And the better food combining, or if we want to call it food separating, works for you, it just kind of means your digestion is weaker. We fix that through making you less toxic and we fix that through fixing your nutrient deficiencies. There is a live stream all about, I believe it was on things like colitis and irritable bowel syndrome and Crohn's and all that stuff. So there was a whole episode on that where I connected to the very same things I did today. Okay. Carol says, what does sticky and slimy poop indicate? Well, if you've been doing anything like the Love Your Liver program, Carol, it's generally going to be bile. Bile is sticky in your poop. It can often be greenish or it can be yellowish. If you had, let's say, let's say a rough day, like a heavy detox day, let's say you did, you worked really hard, or you were really stressed, or you exercised really hard, or you got really hot because of sun or sweating or whatever, these things do tend to cause bile dumps. And then after that, you did not feel good. And then after, either during or after that, you see like a generally smellier, stickier poop that is, we'll say, much less messy to clean up. That's bile in your poop. That's what we want. But still, if you fail bad, you dumped more than you could handle, you leaked more into your bloodstream, but you also pooped more out. Right? So it's like if you have a leaky faucet and you turn it on, let's say 50%, there's going to be a certain amount that's leaking, and there's going to be a certain amount of water that comes out the faucet, which is what you want. So think of it as there's a certain amount of, you start dumping bile, a certain amount of bile is going to leak into your bloodstream, and a certain amount is going to come out the sink like it's supposed to. Okay. If you turn that faucet on 100%, does it make sense that you're also going to leak more and that more is going to come out the faucet? So yes, you could see a difference in your poop, but you may also feel worse because the bigger the bile dump, the more bile you dump, the more can leak into your system because that's just the nature of your leak at that point. Okay. Eve is asking, can you get that from being sick? If you mean being sick as in being sick is a bile dump. Let me see if I can't find that. Let me go on my Twitter and find it real quick. This was a really good post. I mean, all modesty. Where is it? Come on now. Twitter's search engine kind of sucks. Oh, Jiminy Christmas. Oh well. Who does? Ramones is the last super chat. Okay. Well, if you wanted to, if you if I can find it. Oh, wait. Trying to think of key terms. Okay, here we go. Okay, Joe, if you can show this. me pull up the camera so I can see. Oh, sorry. Here we go. Okay, so let me read this. I want you to understand getting sick. I want to expand on this concept of, quote, getting sick and how it relates to the overall health state. An unhealthy person who, quote, never gets sick is actually very, very sick, and their system is so weak it can't even detox much at all. Think of someone who had cancer, which is a deep toxicity state, and then they got radiation and chemo, so they're more toxic, and then they say they're, quote, healthy now because they never get sick anymore. This is a bad sign. They're not detoxing. Another example would be someone with multiple autoimmune conditions, as in another deep toxicity. Autoimmunity is toxicity. That, quote, doesn't get sick anymore. Well, that's because they're sick all the time. Their autoimmunity is their toxicity / detox. Okay. Just because somebody had a cancer cut out of them doesn't mean they're not sick anymore. People who you know, like I remember when women used to come and they'd be like, oh yeah, I had breast cancer, but I had chemo and radiation and had my mastectomy and I'm fine now. And I'm super healthy now. I never get sick. And I was like, in my head, I was like, oh my gosh. I didn't want to tell them how bad it was because it wasn't going to help. Now, here's an important thing is as we get people healthier, as people go from this very, very sick state into becoming healthier, maybe not all the way healthy yet, but they're getting healthier, they will start to get colds and flus, which are detox dumps, because now their system is strong enough to start dumping the poison and they can tolerate it. Okay. So now we have this. Next, we would have people who, quote, get sick. They are toxic and nutrient depleted, and their body is at least mounting detox dump cycles that we call colds and flus. Many of these people unknowingly make themselves worse over time by taking cold and flu remedies that relieve their symptoms, yet actually slow their liver's detox. That's how it relieves their symptoms. This drives them deeper into sickness, like the people above. And finally, we have people who have really worked on proper detoxification and proper nutrient repletion. I consider myself in this category now. Sickness doesn't really happen to these folks because even if they went into a detox dump cycle, there's not enough toxicity and there are plenty of nutrients that they are not going to get sick like others do. And I made sure to add at the end, note how virus theory and pathogen garbage wasn't even mentioned here. Stugtron was saying, I really think I'm in that final boat. Well, Stugtron, this would be, it doesn't matter what we think. There's always room for avoiding poisons, facilitating the removal of stored poisons, and getting the body nutrient repleted. So there's always room for that. Then you kind of get to find out. You know, and if somebody got better and they never, quote unquote, got sick, that's fine too. But if somebody starts getting better and they get sick and they're noticing, oh, this symptom is better, this symptom is better, this symptom is better. Oh, but I got a cold. That's part of the process. That's a detox dump, okay? So either way. So we got that. Let me look at, I think Ramon was the last super chat. Ramon says, so in the absence of carbs and alcohol, can you eat plenty of meat and not develop uric acid? Docs say it is dense foods that lead to uric acid and gout. Well, before we believe doctors on anything, how well has conventional medicine done at fixing the common cold? Right? Virus theory can't cure the common cold. And in theory, in the mainstream media fear campaigns, viruses are getting worse and more dangerous, and they're going to get you. Disease X. Right? Oh, funny thing, I just went onto Facebook to post my today, and they said they removed my content from January 24th, and I was like, I don't even know what content, and they wouldn't show me what content. It's getting to be the Wild West out there, folks. Like, we had trouble establishing a business Instagram account and Facebook accounts. Meta, they're all the same. And yeah, it's going to get interesting. So, or you can just go follow people who have thousands and thousands and thousands of followers on those things and then wonder why they're not being shut down completely. Like even Alex Jones can still take credit cards. Just remember, no one's ever shut down until they can't take credit cards. No one is ever canceled until the banks say, we won't take your credit cards. So anyway, let me get back into... Wait, you said Ramon's super chat. Didn't I do that one? Oh, so the meat. And no, avoiding carbs isn't going to... Ramon, this is what we do with the program. We're going to do things that help the liver. So we're going to make sure not to put in poisons like an all muscle meat diet. We're going to the extreme here. An all muscle meat diet is one of the lowest, and by all muscle meat, I mean muscle meat, not organs, not dairy, not eggs. I mean all muscle meat is about the lowest toxin diet that you can do. Lowest toxin. It's also very high in zinc, and it's low in vitamin A and copper. And we don't tend to store as many toxic metals, as an example, in muscles. I mean, we don't, and neither do cows. So, is that a low toxin diet? Yes. Do I think avoiding all carbs is good? No. The damage I have to fix in people who went on like super low carb diets for a long time, the damage is really significant. And then when they reintroduce carbs, they can't handle them at all. I mean, your body runs on blood glucose. Your body will make blood glucose. And it's going to destroy muscle tissue. It will burn some fat, but it will also destroy muscle tissue to make carbs if it has to. So we don't like the low carb. I believe humans are designed to be omnivores. That's why we have characteristics of both. We have characteristics of meat-eating predators, and we have characteristics of plant eaters. I don't know why that's so difficult for people. Why can't it be both? You know, whether we were hybrid creatures engineered by an alien race. Now, that's a whole nother story. Who knows? I don't know. But avoiding alcohol is critical. I mean, the alcohol, if you go and look up, I mean, let's just go do this. Let's do alcohol out PubMed. I was just going to PubMed.gov. I want to see all the studies. Thousand results. Relationship between alcohol consumption and gout. The role of alcohol consumption in the pathogenesis of gout. Environmental triggers of hyperuricemia and gout. Gout and alcohol. Diet, alcohol, and gout. So and there was 1,000 results. If somebody has gout and they're continuing to drink, the poison, here's the saying, the poison always wins. So if you're going to keep drinking, and let's say you had gout, you're not going to get better. The first step is to stop intoxing. Then concern yourself with detoxing. Stop putting the poison in first before you worry about getting the poison out. This would be like people who have mercury fillings still in their mouth, or they're still eating lots of fish and shellfish, which are full of mercury, and they're trying to do a mercury detox at the same time. You're putting it in and trying to detox at the same time. This never works. You need to if you just remove the sources of the toxicity, your body will start detoxing. Now, like I said, I don't advocate the restriction of all carbs or really trying to avoid carbs, except in people. The only time we do this is when people are coming to us from a very, very, very low carb approach. And we know that they can't tolerate very many carbs because they very quickly start gaining weight. That's not the carbs' fault. That's their diet and their liver's fault. That needs to be fixed. Just like if somebody, let's say somebody had a cast on their leg and they get the cast off. Should they go run a marathon? No. That makes sense, right? So if somebody was hurt from, let's say, a diet approach, can we just throw tons of carbs in there if their body has no idea how to tolerate them and the problem hasn't been deeply fixed yet? No, we can't do that. So do we use carbs on the program? We use, whole food carbohydrates, not white sugar. We use whole food ones that, work. But if they're not working for somebody yet, doc, it hurts when I do this. Well, then don't do that. But you said to eat these high fiber foods which have carbs in them. Well, maybe you don't do it yet. Maybe we get to that later. Maybe you jog the marathon later after your leg has fully gotten back to normal strength. You see? So this is what, honestly, the 6-month consult, the 6 month of support in the testing and consultation packages helps people with. And just so you know, if you sign up for a consult with me or Nathan, you get access to both Nathan and I for the support. So if you did a you with Nathan, you can come to my troubleshooting, my office hours. You can go to Nathan's and vice versa. So that's what we have. That's all the super chats, and we're at 12:30, and I got to get going. So I stopped making these 3-hour. Well, we're not 3 hours because I started a half hour late. This is only 2 hours. Oh, this is great. We're almost back to normal amounts of time. So anyway, hope you all enjoyed it. And we will, yes, carbs, as and Rustica said, carbs are good when they're not juice. Yes, don't drink sugar. Don't drink sugar. That's just not good. So that's all I got for today. Hope you all enjoyed it. You can find all my links down in the bio below. If you, find the Love Your Liver programs out there. We got the testing and consultation packages. I'm talking to my supplement people today. Eve, you're very welcome. Hope you all got something out of this. Disease conditions are related to toxic bile leaking into the blood and the toxins within the bile. Those are the toxicities. And then we fix the nutrient deficiencies, specifically minerals. And then there's the good old nicotinic acid, flush niacin, that we have articles on in the program for you to learn how to do it and how to figure out the dosing on your own. Jackie, you are welcome. Oh, thanks, John. Mustache Man, Agent Smith. Yes, I still need to get that earpiece to work, the squiggle earpiece, so I can, be fully in the matrix. Okay. Well, hope you all enjoyed that. We got more coming each week, and we'll see you next time. Bye now.